Hey, folks, welcome to Plan the Day on Tomorrow. My name's Gary Thurman, founder and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. And as always, I wanted to just say thank you for listening to us, watching us on YouTube or Facebook. We appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week, Tuesdays at 8:30 a.m. And I'm excited about today's show because we're going to do something a little bit different. You know, we're always talking about income planning, Social Security planning, healthcare planning. How is your money set up in the market? What's your risk tolerance? Those are things that will still tie into today's show. But what we're doing is taking questions or concerns that Tim and Bobby and Brogan have been listening to from folks just like you coming into our office. We're going to talk about what those fears are and what are some things that you can be doing to overcome those fears or put those fears to the side so you can have a great, happy, successful retirement. And that's what we're going to do today, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Got my normal crew in here today, Tim McDermott and Bobby Futch. Tim, how are you doing this morning, sir?
Fantastic.
Are you feeling better?
Allergies are kicking up right now, right? It doesn't make me feel bad, just a little runny, right?
Right.
No, but I'm doing pretty well. I actually had I had some deer in my backyard last year, and I hadn't seen them in a while. So Ellie and I went out and put some corn in the backyard this week just to see if they would come back. And it took them a few days, but I had 8 in my backyard this morning.
That's awesome.
She loves to watch them. So.
They're moving right now,
They
and the weather's pretty awesome right now, Bobby. I love a nice chilly morning and then a 68 to 72
It's great.
afternoon, and the breeze has been amazing.
Yeah, we had a birthday party with my neighbor's got a little 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And so I took my daughter over there this last weekend. They had a bouncy house and sprinkle in the yard and all. Man, it was hard to come back inside. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I may or may not have gotten on the bouncy house as well.
I'm sure you did. We need video. We need video of that. Tim and I are out in Phoenix last week, and I'm not going to say that the weather was great. It was very hot. They're having a record March. I think last Thursday out there it was 104 degrees. But we went out there and did a lot of TV work, a lot of content work, and we're excited to be sharing that with you guys in the next coming weeks. We did what, Tim? We got 7 new TV shows done.
Yep.
So that'll be coming on your local TV stations. You can always go to our website and check out our TV shows under the media tab at giaplantoday.com, giaplantoday.com. I want to go ahead and throw out the offers that we do for everybody, YouTube, Facebook, if you're listening to us on the radio, and that's to get a copy of my book, Plan the Day, Own Tomorrow. A couple of different ways you can do this. If you're listening to us on the radio and you're in the Chattanooga area, text the word book, 423-710-9199. If you're up in the Knoxville area where our second office is, text the word book, 865-951-7526. If you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, you can always scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen or comment book below. And again, go to plantodayoffer.com. We'll get the book sent right out to you. You can check out that book, and then you can come in and see the guys and have a conversation about your retirement plan and making sure it's in line to what your goals are for retirement. So, guys, let's jump in. I think the biggest mistake you guys are coming to tell me each and every week is that so many people are walking in the door of Guardian Investment Advisors and tell them they simply don't have an income plan and they're retiring. That should be a big fear in America right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, longevity's becoming an issue, right? It's a good issue, I guess. We're living longer, and that causes the issue of potentially having to create an income that lasts longer.
Right.
Healthcare becomes more expensive. Inflation becomes a bigger problem. Taxes, unknown tax, brackets that we could be in. All these things become a potential problem as we look further down the road. We had a client in here recently. Referred over to us actually, and they had been working with the same guy for the last, 20, 30 years.
Right.
Long time. And they just felt like they were being very restricted on what they were able to spend and what they were able to do. And meanwhile, kind of bleeding that account
right.
Little by little. And so when they had just recently moved up here to the Chattanooga area and were worried about their daughter who needs some extra help, and they were just not sure kind of how all this
Right.
is supposed to fit
Right.
together, and weren't happy with the way it's been going.
Right. Sure.
They came in to see us. We were able to kind of generate a guaranteed income plan that took care of them, and then left a guaranteed sum back to their daughter to help take care of her after they pass. It was a pretty tough case. It took me about a week back and forth,
Right.
talking to a few different folks on our team to kind of figure out how to get this thing done. But at the end of the day, I think it made all the difference to them. That at the end of that appointment, they were very excited about things.
Isn't
right?
that cool?
The crux of that was they were pulling income from a portfolio,
That's right.
right? And so the income was available for them to pull now, but if you're worried about kids, you're worried about what's going to happen in the future, you feel kind of guilty pulling money out now
right.
because it's not there to grow. So that was a tough one. It took a
Tim, you
long
used to
time.
say something about that. Use a phrase, guilty spending or something like that.
Guilt-free spending.
Guilt-free
yeah.
spending.
We want a little guilt-free spending. That's I know we'll talk about it a little bit, but our green bucket, if you've heard us before on the radio, on TV, we've always talked about our buckets. The green bucket's there to simply set up a guaranteed income source for the rest of your life. Used to be that everybody retired with Social Security, a pension, and maybe a
Yeah.
gold watch, and there wasn't a whole lot to worry about.
Changed in 1978.
Yeah, and as everything kind of changed, we've had to kind of replace that pension bucket, right?
Right.
And so that green bucket helps us do that. And when we set up a guaranteed income stream, mailbox money, if you will, it's a check that shows up in your mailbox, either literally or figuratively,
Yeah, exactly.
every
Yeah,
single
yeah.
month. No matter what happens, you feel a little less guilty about having to go out and spend that money, right?
Sure.
That money's coming to you whether you want it or not at a certain point, and
Right.
then you might as well go spend it. Might as well go enjoy things.
I think a couple of things I picked up there, Bobby, that Tim just said. This client came in, they were pulling money out of their investment strategies, which, I think that's what a lot of the big box firms, do for folks. But Tim talked about an income plan, a tax plan, a legacy plan for the daughter. Let's make sure that we got you right on the right health care plan, a Medicare plan. But when someone comes and sits down with you and Tim, how do you determine what that income need is?
Well, it starts with a conversation, right? So this particular lady, we had to talk with her for a while before she figured out. And of course, everybody needs immediate income. I mean, that's what retirement's
Sure.
about. But the legacy benefit for her daughter and all the things that we had to plan for from her, it's something we had to have a conversation about. And then we back into that number, right? We go back to basics.
That's right.
Do you have a spending plan? Do you know what it takes to be Tim McDermott or Gary Thurman
Right,
every month?
right.
If you don't, we got to figure that out, right? We don't want to guess there.
Sure.
And then how does that change in retirement?
Yeah.
Do you want to do more in retirement? Most people do.
Especially the first few years.
Yeah, everyone thinks I'm going to spend less money in retirement, but that's often not the case.
Right.
Right? You're going to spend at least as much as you did while you were working, or you're not at the office from 9 to 5 every day. You're not going to be sitting on the couch all day every day. So you're going to spend additional money.
That's right.
So let's figure out what your retirement looks like, what that's going to cost you, at least for a handful of years of retirement, and we back into that number.
So let's stick with this story, Tim, because you just made me think of another question. From a market standpoint, which we love having money, what we call in our red bucket. We love having money in the market. But this particular couple came in, all their money was in the market, and they were drawing money from those investments alone. Why is that a little risky?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're using that old school 4% rule, right?
Yeah.
Which really was put into place back when bond rates were much higher, when our markets weren't seeing such high volatility. I saw something the other day. The 2020s, so 2020 through 2029, we're on track to see the most 1% moves in a day in our market in the last 8 decades.
Wow.
I think, I don't know how many folks out there watch the market on a daily basis, but 10, 15 years ago, if we saw a 1, 2, 3% move in a day, it was a huge
It was a big deal.
day.
Yeah, big deal.
It seems almost normal now, right? I mean, volatility's definitely creeped up, and we're starting to see the facts behind it. I got off track there. What was I talking about?
Just why pulling,
The 4%.
pulling out. Yeah,
Yeah,
pulling
yeah.
out is too risky.
And so as volatility keeps rising, we are putting ourselves in a more dangerous place to pull that 4%. Now, if the market takes a drop and drops by 20, 30%, that 4% is a withdrawal rate from the value of that account in that day
Right.
or that time frame.
So you got a
right?
declining asset.
With a declining income,
Right.
with higher risk, with lower bond yields, right? So it's kind of a dangerous storm, and you want to make sure that you're finding alternatives in today's market for that kind of thing.
2022. Everybody talks about 2008.
Right.
That was kind of a long time ago already.
It was a
boys.
long time ago, yeah.
I just thought about that this morning. But 2022 was a great example of why I think the 4% rule is dead.
That's right.
Right? The S&P 500 was down 18.6%. And your safe money, your bonds, where you traditionally went to get that yield, was down 12.9.
That's big.
So even if you had from a traditional, modern portfolio theory aspect, safe portfolio,
Yeah.
your income was really hurting in 2022.
Right. Right. I mean, don't you guys feel that when someone comes in, they decide to work with Guardian, it gives them a little more peace of mind?
It should. I hope it does. That's what we do. So.
Because now they know that check's coming. As Tim called it, mailbox money. It's coming every single month. Now they don't have to worry about it, Bobby. I mean, that's a big deal. I think that's the emotional part of it.
It is, and that's a big part of retirement planning, right? Tim and I and you, we've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
We'll take care of the numbers. If you want to know the numbers, we'll certainly sit down with you and go through it all, and we'll talk about it as much as you want to do. But we really want to deliver to you the peace of mind and the understanding of the plan. This is going to work.
That's right.
Right? You can't outspend your money.
That's right.
Something
what
we've
it's all
done
about.
really cool for you guys is created a calculator. You might be asking yourself after that first segment, wow, am I actually ready to retire? All you have to do is go to GIAquiz.com, GIAquiz.com. Take that quiz, then come in and see the guys. Let's start having this conversation. Let's make sure we get your retirement plan set up so you can live every day like a Saturday, which is our ultimate goal here at Guardian Investment Advisors. Again, GIAquiz.com. Now, when we come back, we're going to talk about two important things, Social Security and RMD planning. We'll be right back.
We know the market is going to get worse from here. This is the biggest monthly decline in 10 years. People's 401ks took a major hit.
Well, my investments are tanking. My retirement isn't going as planned. I can't believe I let my kid talk me into buying crypto. I mean, what is that anyway?
This was the fourth worst contraction in history.
So how are you two doing?
Your financial future doesn't have to be uncertain. I'm Gary Thurman with Guardian Investment Advisors. If you've amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. All of our advisors are fiduciaries that specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and more. Plan your retirement right. Call now for your own complimentary portfolio review and tax analysis. And welcome back to Plan the Day on Tomorrow. Gary Thurman, founder and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors, having a great show today because we're really taking the questions or concerns that you guys are bringing into our office each and every week. We're talking about those things. We just spent the first segment really talking about having an income plan, how that is the foundation, the core of everything you do in retirement. You have to know you have to know where your paychecks are going to be coming from because you're starting a new job. Retirement's like starting a new job. You have to know what your income's going to be, just like if you applied for that dream job out there. And so income planning, we think, is vital. We do think it's the number one fear in America, and I think it's going to continue to be the number one fear in America. So our first segment will really focus on that income planning. Now we're going to jump into something that, really, Social Security is a big deal for me. RMD planning is a huge deal for you for future taxes. So I want to jump right into this, guys. We talked about income planning, Bobby. Excuse me. I think Social Security is the foundation to any income plan. Why is it such a big decision?
Yeah, it's going to be a guaranteed income that almost everybody in the United States has.
That's right.
Right? You've paid into it for your entire working career. Let's make sure you get the most benefit out of it that you can for your plan. And it's so easy to mess up. Right?
Sure.
You got to make sure that you figured out exactly how it works best for you. Everyone says, when should I take my Social Security? I have absolutely no idea when you should take your Social Security until we have a conversation.
Sure.
It's one piece of a lot of pieces in retirement planning, and we're going to get into that here in this segment a little bit. But being able to make sure that you do what's right for you means you got to take a look at a lot of different things.
So you just don't take it when everybody else does?
You certainly can, right? That's not a good idea, though, right? And it depends on a whole bunch of things. When are you going to retire? What other income streams do you have?
What's your health?
What's your health like? What's your spouse's health like?
Mm-hmm.
What's the age difference between you and your spouse?
Yep.
There's so many things to look at in Social Security that being able to say, hey, we tell you to take it at X age just doesn't work.
Yep.
No. Tim, what are you seeing or what do you think is going to be the biggest mistake people make with Social Security planning in 2026?
One interesting thing I saw last year, and this could go 100 different ways. There's a lot of potential, I guess, mistakes that could be made with Social Security, starting too early, starting too late, whatever the case may be. One interesting thing I saw last year, we had about 3 couples walk in, and the spouse hadn't worked their entire life.
Okay.
And they didn't know that they were entitled to a spousal benefit.
That's a big deal. It's about
Spouse-
50%, correct?
Yeah, spousal benefits half of whatever your spouse is taking at your respective age, right? And it was interesting that I didn't know that was so uncommon, right? So even if you haven't worked throughout your career, you're still entitled to half of what your spouse's
Sure.
Social Security is.
And listen, you can have your own benefit.
Yep.
We see it oftentimes, like my mom. She was a school teacher, right? Still is, but she, did part-time school work. When we were young, she didn't work. Those sorts of things.
Yep.
Her spouse, her benefit is going to be, not great compared to like my father's.
Might still make sense for her to take the spousal benefit.
She could
right?
still take the spousal benefit, right? And so it's a really important thing to look at. To your point, not a lot of people know about it, and there's some people that didn't have a clue.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest mistakes we've seen, or I've seen in 30 years in doing this, is people don't consider their health. I always talk about my friend Joe, who's been a diabetic since he was 13 years old, and he is the breadwinner of the family. So he wants to wait as long as he can to turn on Social Security, because when he passes, his wife gets the greater of the two. Bobby, is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, so his wife could get Joe's benefit.
Right.
Now, I know Joe, too. Joe's never going to quit working, right? So it probably won't make sense for him to take it early. But you're right. There's so much that goes into it, and you've got to consider that.
Sure.
And it could be even more pronounced for them or for other folks if you have a spouse that's a lot younger or a lot older than you.
Sure.
Right? So in Joe's case, if he was going to be 70 and his wife was going to be 60, she couldn't even get a spousal benefit at age 60
That's right.
or any benefit at 60. And so God forbid something happened to Joe at 71, 72, and all of a sudden she's got a Social Security benefit that she probably couldn't even get close to on her own record.
It's a big deal, and I think with improper Social Security planning, it could cost you tens of thousands of dollars throughout. Because Tim mentioned longevity risk. We're living 25, 30 years in retirement. That Social Security is going to add up, folks. So you need to make sure you come in, have a conversation with us. Let us teach you and guide you and direct you on how to optimize those Social Security benefits. Again, I think it's the foundation, just like you're building a house. You need your foundation first, and that's where Social Security really falls into play. And then we can build an income plan on top of that to go along with your Social Security benefits. So, again, Social Security benefit is important, Bobby. You
Gary,
got
I
something
think
else?
we'd be remiss if we didn't say before we move on to RMDs that, taking early is not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing
I
if
said
it makes sense for
most
you.
people we talk to, if you're going to retire in your early 60s, you should really consider taking that benefit, because if you need money to spend to retire on anyway, you've got to get it from somewhere.
Yeah.
And most of the time it makes sense to spend Uncle Sam's money
That's right.
instead of the money you've set aside to save.
Yeah, I love that. Good point there. So make sure you optimize your Social Security benefits. That was our whole point there. I do want to shift to RMDs, required minimum distributions. Tim and I, like I said, we did 7 TV shows, and I think we talked about taxes in every one of those shows. Our national debt has gone up by $5 million per minute. $5 million per minute. We're at the 3rd lowest tax bracket we've ever seen. We know we're locked in for a few more years. So I want to jump into RMDs because, Tim, RMDs could create let's just call it, Ed Slott calls it this. It could create a tax time bomb.
Right.
So why is this so important to do RMD planning?
Yeah, there's a good chance your IRA or 401k is growing pretty substantially right now. the more it grows, the higher that RMD starts at. Most people don't know that RMDs start at about a 3.7% rate, right? The first year you have to take it's about 3.7%. And then every year thereafter, that percentage grows. And the idea is that the closer you get to 115, the faster that account has to be drawn down. And so not only do you have a growing account, but you have a growing percentage that you have to take from that account at the same time. And it could put you in a position where that amount that you're forced to pull out is quite significant.
Yeah.
We saw this weekly last year.
Is there a story that comes to mind, Bobby, of somebody that was not planning on a high RMD at 73?
Yeah, we had a couple that were did really well for themselves saving, and they had multi-millions of dollars in IRA money. Everything they had was paid off.
Yep.
And they lived a pretty
Modest
life, right? And they were extremely happy doing that. With Social Security benefits times 2, but they both had a pension. They could do what they wanted to do.
Right.
Right.
Income was solved.
Income was solved even before they came in and saw us. But here's the issue they had is at age 73 now, all of a sudden they got to start taking a whole lot of money out of these 401 IRA accounts at 73.
Right.
They don't want it. They don't need it.
They don't want it. They don't need it. But guess what? Uncle Sam says,
Got
I
you.
wasn't asking you.
That's right.
I was telling you.
Yeah.
Right now, all of a sudden, they were going to add over $100,000 a year to their taxable income. And RMDs are taxed at what we call ordinary income tax rates, just like your paycheck was when you were working.
Right.
So now, all of a sudden, they were jumping up almost 2 income tax brackets from when they didn't want, they didn't need, just to write Uncle Sam an even bigger check.
That's right.
So let's follow up on that story, Tim. With that particular situation, how do you and Bobby and Brogan help people plan? How do you make them properly plan when to take RMDs, or how do you maybe even eliminate some of those RMDs?
Yeah, that's the main goal right now, right? We're in one of the lowest tax brackets we've seen in U.S. history, and we're trying to take advantage of it. If you've got to pay Uncle Sam at some point, why not pay him while it's cheap, right?
Ah,
Right now it's cheap, so we're actually front-loading that and saying, let's not pull 100 or 200,000. Let's go pull for 500,000, right? Whatever the case may be. In their circumstances, we're getting aggressive
Yeah.
with what we call Roth conversions. We're pulling more money out of those IRA accounts and shifting them to the Roth IRA account, allowing it to then grow and come out tax-free in the future, and there's no RMD requirements on Roth IRAs.
Yet, to your point, we met with a handful of clients already this year that were in similar situations where it made sense from an income tax standpoint to add hundreds of thousands of dollars to their taxable income.
now,
Now, they don't need the money now,
while
but,
taxes are low.
but they're cheap, they're retired, and so let's go ahead and your taxes aren't going to change the first couple of years in retirement from when you worked. We're just taking W-2 work income, trading it for 1099 Roth conversion income. Sorry, I got a little nerdy there. But what you do is go ahead and pay your taxes. You're used to paying them anyway.
Yeah.
And guess what? Those hundreds of thousands of dollars are going to be in a Roth IRA, which does not have an RMD requirement.
And how awesome is that if you never have to touch that money and you're going to leave it to your children, grandchildren, favorite charity? That's big, Tim.
Yeah, we run a calculator that shows the lifetime average tax rate, estimated, and even in their lifetime, it saves them quite a bit of taxes. But then what's left to their kids or charities or whatever is all tax-free, and no one else has to pay Uncle Sam.
So we're going to continue the conversation about tax planning when we come back on our third segment, and we're also going to jump into one of Bobby's favorite conversations, estate planning. So taxes and estate planning are coming up next. In my book, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow, Chapter 6 is titled Taxes, Taxes, Taxes. We think that tax planning is vital, and there's a big difference between tax planning and filing your taxes. So we're going to jump into that a little bit more in the next segment, but if you'd like a copy of my book, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow, if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, comment book below. We'll send you out a copy of my book, and/or scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen. Now, if you're in Chattanooga, text the word book, 423-710-9199. If you're up in the Knoxville, Maryville, Oak Ridge area, text the word book to 865-951-7526. We'll send you a copy right out. Then you come in and talk about the 2 biggest things we talked about today so far, income planning and tax planning. We're going to follow up a little bit more on tax planning when we come back. Stay tuned. Hi, my name is Gary Thurman, owner and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. For years, our team has helped thousands of retirees and pre-retirees build a confident, predictable, and stress-free retirement plan. If you've worked hard for 30, 40 years, you deserve a retirement that works for you, not one filled with uncertainty, rising healthcare costs, or market concerns. At Guardian Investment Advisors, we take a comprehensive approach to retirement. That means we help you with building a reliable income plan so you know exactly where your paychecks will come from. Navigate Medicare with clarity, making sure you pick the right coverage to avoid costly mistakes. Preparing for long-term care needs with smart planning and protection strategies. Managing your investments with a personalized portfolio tailored to your goals, risk tolerance, and your retirement timeline. Reduce taxes wherever possible with proactive planning so you keep more of your hard-earned savings. You deserve a retirement plan built specifically for you, not a one-size-fits-all approach. Plan your retirement the right way. Call us today or connect with us using one of the many options below. Let's get started empowering your retirement right now. Thank you. Welcome back to Plan Today on Tomorrow. My name is Gary Thurman, founder and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy morning to join us on YouTube, join us on Facebook, and are listening to us on many outlets in the Chattanooga and Knoxville area. Hey, if you've heard something today, give us a call. Come in and see us. The number's at the bottom of your screen right there, 423-710-9199. We'd love to have a conversation with you about income planning, Social Security planning, tax planning, and make sure that your retirement is set up to be peaceful, so you have more peace of mind, to be fun, to be energetic, and to be able to do what you want to do. That's the bottom line when it comes to retirement. You work 25, 30, 35, 40 years to put back. You don't want to be caught off guard. You don't want to be wishful thinking when it comes to retirement planning. You need a written plan. And that's what we do here at Guardian Investment Advisors. Again, if you are interested to see if you're actually ready to retire, go to GIAquiz.com, GIAquiz.com. Take that 7-8 minute quiz, then come in and see Tim, Bobby, Brogan up in Knoxville. Let's have a conversation. Let's put you in a situation where we can make sure that you have some peace going into retirement planning. I want to continue talking about tax planning, Tim, and when I ended the second segment, I said there's a big difference between tax filing and tax planning. Give me the two differences.
Past and future.
I like that.
Tax filing looks back at the previous year, right? And says, this is what we're looking at in the past. Here's what's happened over the last year. Here's what we owe Uncle Sam now. Let's go pay our bill. Tax planning says, let's look forward to say, what do I need to do right now to prepare for my future tax situation that I'll have?
But a lot of people, Bobby, think that their taxes are going to be lower in retirement.
Yeah, that is a common thought. And I would say 10, 15, 20 years ago, that was probably the case, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're retired now, man, you're in the sweet spot of taxes for retirement.
Sure.
But you made a mention of our national debt earlier.
$5 million a minute.
$38 trillion.
I think it's almost 39.
That
It
number
is
is probably
39 now.
stale. 39 now. You know, it's going up by trillions of dollars a year. I think it's $2 trillion a year. My whole point is that at some point in the future, you got to pay the piper, right? You can't swipe that American Express card every month and not expect to pay the bill.
Yeah.
Well, the United States government's the same way, and if you've got a bunch of money in 401ks, IRAs, and retirement, you're still subject to help pay that bill.
That's right.
Big deal.
And I would say
It's a big bill.
it's a big bill. And so, if you're going to retire in 5, 10, 15 years, you're probably going to be subject to those increased tax rates to help pay for that bill.
Yeah, speaking of big bills, the one big beautiful bill was just passed
Great
here recently.
segue.
One big beautiful bill. Tim, what are you seeing right now with taxes, and why is planning more important than ever when it comes to that forward thinking and tax planning?
We do have the one big beautiful bill that passed just this last year, and it put in some permanent and some temporary tax provisions that are something we should be taking advantage of right now. Bobby just talked about the national debt and how big it is. our U.S. government only has one source of income. It's taxes. You're paying that bill one way or another. Maybe not you, maybe your kids, maybe your grandkids,
yeah.
but somebody has to pay that bill. And the only way to really pay that bill is for taxes to go up at some point, right, to help us take care of things. And so why not take advantage of things while taxes are low, while we're in this provision, right? One of the temporary provisions we have from the Big Beautiful Bill
It's so big.
is that we have a temporary $6,000 additional tax deduction for seniors over the age of 65. That's per person. So as a household, you could have an additional $12,000 deduction right now on top of historically low tax rates. So why not go take advantage of that? Why not use some of that extra deduction to convert some of those taxable dollars to tax-free dollars?
Yeah, and Bobby, can I follow that what Tim just said? This is one of those temporary deals for 65 and above, getting the extra $6,000 deduction. That ends in 2028.
Yeah, that we know that's going to go away unless there's some proactive legislation passed to extend it. I hope it happens for the sake of a lot of our clients, but listen, it's kind of kicking the can down the road.
Yep.
We mentioned that taxes have to go up at some point in the future.
Oh, we're good at that, though. We kick the can down the road all the
I
time, don't we?
know it. I know it. That was actually put in place because the Trump administration, when they were running for office, said we're going to make Social Security tax go away. Taxes on Social Security go away.
Yeah.
Right.
That didn't happen.
Did not.
And I'm kind of glad it didn't because it took the form of this $6,000 times 2 deduction. It can be used on anything, right? It doesn't have to be used on Social Security income.
Right.
It can be used on any source of income. So if nothing changed from your tax filing in 2024 to 2025, all of a sudden you're paying $12,000 less in taxes if you're a 65-year-old or older couple,
yeah.
right? Why not use that for a Roth conversion, right? Nothing else changes. And so if we worked the math out to roughly $50,000 in Roth conversion to not pay any taxes on, take advantage of it because we know this is going away.
And that example has a lot to do with your age, your income, phase-out periods, different things like that. And I think we did that example running on somebody with a 24% tax bracket. So if you're in a lower tax bracket, could be more room to wiggle there. Take advantage of it, folks. If you're 65 and above, come in and see Tim and Bobby and Brogan. Have that conversation about taking advantage of the money that the government is actually giving you to do some Roth conversions, because Roth is the very, very best vehicle there is out there. It grows tax deferred, and when you pull the money out, it'll be 100% tax free. Bobby, let's jump into something that you've got a little passion about. Let's talk about estate planning. What is the biggest misconception people have when it comes to estate planning?
It's for rich people,
Ah, that's a good
right?
one.
And the problem is you're never a rich person. Right, that's just the way that the psychology works. There's always people with more money than you out there, so you're never the rich person that needs it. But everyone needs an estate plan,
Sure.
right? Especially if you're younger and have children.
Everyone technically has an estate plan.
That's a
Yeah,
good point.
that the government owns.
That's right.
Yeah, every state has a rule that says who gets your stuff and your assets
Sure.
When you pass away. I promise you're not going to like it.
Talk about that for a second with Tennessee, because Tennessee's interesting, right?
Yeah, Tennessee is an interesting one in that if you are married, right, your spouse inherits all your assets. Okay, great. That's probably what you're going to do with them anyway.
Right.
If you are married with children, it gets complicated because children become a direct beneficiary of your estate if you die what's called intestate. So we call it intestate if you don't have a will. So there could be a situation, but take me for example, I've got 2 kids and a wife. If I died without a will, now all of a sudden my wife gets 1/3 of all my assets and my 2 kids split them.
And your kids are...
My kids are 7 and 1 month old today.
I don't
Oh,
think,
today. Wow. Happy
So
1 month,
So
Benny.
what is a 1 month old
I don't
gonna
think he needs
do?
1/3 of your assets.
But the state doesn't care.
Yep.
And so now all of a sudden, because they're minors, now guardianships have to be set up. It's a mess, right? And so if I were to proactively say, leave everything to my wife, she's going to take care of my kids anyway. They're our kids together. That's a much better way of doing it. The court stays out of it. God forbid if something happened to both of us with a 7-year-old and a 1-month-old,
Right.
we've got a trust put in place.
Yep.
And trust are another really misunderstood thing. You know, only the Rockefellers have trusts. That could not be further from the truth. And so if you don't have at least a will, you need to get one done. We talk to people all the time about this.
We've heard a lot this last year. Should I get a will or a trust?
I think everybody should have a will.
Absolutely. You absolutely should have a
100%.
will. So if you are able to listen to this radio show and you're not 7 or 1 month old, you should have a will, right? Whether or not you should have a trust depends. It's appropriate for a lot more folks than it often gives credit for. It can help avoid probate, which most
big.
people like, right?
That's big.
Probate's a public process. In Tennessee and Georgia, if you want to be nosy, you can go down to the probate court and get a copy of anybody's will you want.
Yeah, they work in conjunction. They're not an either or kind of.
That's
Correct.
right. If you have a trust, you also need a will.
That's right.
And then it can help keep things out of probate, doesn't lock up assets, can hold on to assets as an owner and give them to, for example, my minor children as they need them.
Sure.
That's why I have one. If you have assets like real property, houses, or land in other states, that's a big deal too, because if you own things in different areas, you got to probate in each one of those areas.
Right.
So, Tim, if you had a beach house down in Florida,
Yep.
you'd have to probate here. And then you'd have to have your attorney go find an attorney in Florida, pay that attorney to go probate and do the exact same thing in Florida. So you got to do it twice.
And those guys don't work for free, is my understanding.
No, and they usually work by the hour, and they're not very quick. And some of those fees can be pretty stout. And so a trust could help solve that problem. So there's a lot of reasons to have a trust. That doesn't mean you have to be worth $50 million.
And Tim, I think tax planning and estate planning kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a matter of passing it down to your beneficiaries in the most efficient way possible. And sometimes that means taxes. I've had a handful of folks come into our office over the last year, and they said, my kids are inheriting, all this money from us. That's their problem. Let them go pay the taxes.
Let them pay the tax on it.
And I say, sure, yeah, I can understand that. But you worked really hard for this money. I'm sure you would rather see it go to your children's hands than Uncle Sam's hands. So let us help you do it in the most effective way possible.
Does that open their mind up to, okay, we need to have this conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. Most people are okay with paying their fair share in taxes, but they don't want to pay a penny.
Yeah, I get it. That's some of the things I talk about in my book, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. Tax planning for sure, estate planning. You need to get a copy of my book. It's absolutely free. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, comment book below or scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen. If you're in Chattanooga, text the word book, 423-710-9199. In Knoxville, 865-951-7526. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the favorite things for me to have conversations about: your health care, your lifestyle, and we're going to finish up with some of those fears that you're facing going into retirement today. We'll be right back. Hi, my name is Gary Thurman, owner and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. For years, our team has helped thousands of retirees and pre-retirees build a confident, predictable, and stress-free retirement plan. If you've worked hard for 30, 40 years, you deserve a retirement that works for you, not one filled with uncertainty, rising healthcare costs, or market concerns. At Guardian Investment Advisors, we take a comprehensive approach to retirement. That means we help you with building a reliable income plan so you know exactly where your paychecks will come from. Navigate Medicare with clarity, making sure you pick the right coverage to avoid costly mistakes. Preparing for long-term care needs with smart planning and protection strategies. Managing your investments with a personalized portfolio tailored to your goals, risk tolerance, and your retirement timeline. Reduce taxes wherever possible with proactive planning so you keep more of your hard-earned savings. You deserve a retirement plan built specifically for you, not a one-size-fits-all approach. Plan your retirement the right way. Call us today or connect with us using one of the many options below. Let's get started empowering your retirement right now. Thank you. Welcome back to Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. My name is Gary Thurman, founder and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. We have a beautiful office here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, one up in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we help people all over this beautiful country of ours. So if you'd like to have a conversation with one of our advisors, 423-710-9199, just give us a call. It's a simple conversation between you and us to make sure you are set up for retirement. Again, if you'd like a copy of my book, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow, Facebook users, YouTube users, comment book below. We'll get a book sent right out to you. Or you can go to the QR code at the bottom of your screen or go to plantodayoffer.com, plantodayoffer.com. If you're here in the beautiful city of Chattanooga, Tennessee, text the word book, 423-710-9199. And if you're up in Rocky Top, up in the Knoxville area, text the word book to 865-951-7526. And we always encourage you to go to GIA Quiz, GIAquiz.com, and take that short quiz. Then come in and see one of our advisors. Let's get you rocking and rolling for retirement planning. All right, gentlemen, healthcare planning, lifestyle planning, a few fears out there. I think this is a big thing that so many people are underestimating. And Tim, I'm jumping with you on this. Right now, a healthy 65-year-old person is going to spend approximately $172,000 in general health care. I'm not talking about long-term care, general health care. And you and I just found a report from Allianz. From 2024, Bobby, to 2033, they're looking at healthcare inflation on healthcare going 5.8% per year. That $172,000 is going to be $190,000 by the end of this year. It's amazing to me. And what are people underestimating right now when it comes to healthcare planning?
Oh, I think you just said it.
I think I did too. Sorry, I just so Tim's line. Yeah.
Inflation, right? I mean, not only are things expensive right now with the healthcare world, I don't know if anybody's been to a doctor or an ER room or anything like that recently. If you see that bill that gets sent over to an insurance company, if you see what gets left back to you, you know how expensive health insurance is, how expensive health care is, and we know it's going to get more expensive. That is underestimated by, I think, just about everybody, how expensive that is going to be. Tanner is in our office. He's our senior healthcare advisor. He deals with Medicare, deals with under 65 insurance, just health insurance in general. And it feels like every week he's coming into my office telling me that, hey, this company just racked their rates
changed
by 50% or something like that. And it's just incredible how fast it's rising.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't exactly know what their particular policy covers and what it doesn't.
They do
cover.
not. It's so confusing.
Right. Medicare is confusing. General health care is confusing. And then I think a lot of people get what I call analysis paralysis, right? They look at it and go, I've got 4 different options here. Which one's best? They try to do a good job, and they go, you know what? I'll just pick this one, right?
Yeah.
Hope it goes well. That can cause all those issues because not only do we know things are expensive, you don't really know what you've got covered.
No.
And to your point on that, we end up seeing, I don't know if anybody's walked into a grocery store recently and you buy your same snack off the shelf every week, right? Well, we're starting to notice that snack might not be getting super expensive, might not be getting more and more expensive, but the snack itself is getting smaller, right? So it's inflation in a different manner, right? It's the same price, but you're getting less for the price.
It's a hidden inflation.
Yeah. We're starting to see that with healthcare plans, right? They're taking away benefits from these healthcare plans, but charging the same price or even more.
It's one of here at our company, it's one of our largest expenses every single month to cover healthcare. And it's crazy how expensive it's gotten. And like Tim just said, sometimes I go get a script filled. I'm like, why is it $55? Where's my prescription coverage? Well, that's it. Because of high deductibles and all this other stuff. So I think planning for healthcare and retirement, again, we're living longer, and you got to plan for healthcare. It's going to be healthcare and taxes are probably going to be your 2 biggest expenses going into retirement. So you need to take advantage of that now. If you're a pre-retiree and are already retired, come in and see the guys. Let's have a conversation. Let's put a plan together to make sure those things don't happen to you. All right, Tim, I would say let's go to Bobby here. What are the biggest fears you're hearing from retirees in 2026?
Getting sick.
Getting sick?
Right? And how sick, how much that's going to cost. Market volatility. To Tim's point earlier.
Absolutely.
Market volatility has been at historical highs the last handful of years. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going anywhere. And taxes, right? And rightfully so on all of those things.
I think they all come back to longevity and running out of money, right? Because you're nervous that if you got to pay much more in taxes, you're nervous that if the market takes things away from you, then the income source that you have is going to end up getting depleted or washed away. And that's where we're seeing a lot of folks come in, and when they talk with us, they hear about the green bucket, they understand the bucket strategy that we're doing. it's a huge stress relief, right?
Yeah, so I think we'd all agree the biggest fears right now that you guys are hearing: running out of money, getting sick, market volatility, and taxes. Those are the 4 biggies. There's some other things out there, some other pitfalls. How much are you paying in fees? That's something you need to look at as well, because fees can get very, very expensive for you. So I just wanted to throw that one out there. Let's flip this, guys, a little bit. Tim, I'll jump to you. What are retirees most excited about today?
We hear a lot of folks who are getting ready to retire and travel. They want to go see the world. They want to go see the grandkids. They want to get away from the stress of the 40-hour job that they've had for the last 10, 20, 30 years, right? And funny enough, we're seeing a lot of folks retire and then go get a part-time job.
I was just about to say that. We've talked with a bunch of people that are excited to have, I'll use the air quotes, their dream job,
Yep.
right? They like golf, they like gardening, so they've always wanted to work around flowers or go be a starter at a golf course.
Sure.
They couldn't do that job realistically while they're raising a family. You just
Yeah.
can't make enough money to make
Right.
things. But as soon as you retire and you don't have to make the money anymore and you can do it for fun,
Yep.
we're finding people with all kinds of crazy jobs.
Because a lot of them don't really want to sit at home all day. They don't want to
We
necessarily.
really don't want them to do that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They don't. We're seeing a fair amount of people who don't want to travel across the world. They might want to travel locally or United States, but they're not interested in going to see Europe or China or whatever else is out there, right?
Yeah.
They want to stay busy, and they want to stay busy doing something they enjoy, the hobby that they have. So they go back to work part-time. I think we're seeing more and more folks who want the ability to
Yeah.
retire. They want to know they have the freedom to retire.
A word keeps coming to my mind, gentlemen: freedom. But you can't have that freedom if you're stressed out about those 4 other things: running out of money, getting sick, market volatility, and taxes. So that's why it's so vital, in your opinion, to have a written plan.
That's right.
So you can have that freedom in retirement. All right, we're going to close the show out asking both of you this same question. Tim, I'm going to start with you. What does a successful retirement actually look like from your perspective?
You want to make sure that you are less stressed. I feel like what I do, what I help folks with, is reduce stress, reduce worry, reduce concerns throughout retirement so that you can actually go enjoy retirement.
Bobby, same
Yeah,
question.
I'll add on to that. I love when we have clients that came in as prospects stressed out and unsure, and then we struggle to get them back in here to meet with them because they feel so comfortable. They're getting to do what they want to do. Like, Bobby, why do I want to come in and talk about markets and taxes? Y'all take care of that. I'm out here living my best life.
Right.
And I go, I have to meet with you regularly to make sure things haven't changed and you're on the right spot. But it's kind of the same thing, right? They've got to. They switch from worrying about being able to retire to do it without worry, and man, they're just living their best life.
And I'm going to ask you guys both this question. This is a personal question. It has nothing to do with work. It has to do with work. But Tim, what is your why? Why do you get up and work so hard every day to help other people, strangers, people you don't know, have this freedom in retirement? What is your why?
I think I'm good at it. Not patting myself on the back necessarily, but I think this is what I was meant to do. I think God has given me a gift, and
Yep.
I want to share it with the world. And I think this is the way that I can do it.
I love that. Bobby?
I like watching somebody that has done a lifetime full of hard work, and almost all of our clients have worked very hard for a long amount of time, have the ability to enjoy that for themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And some of our clients, it is like a light switch. They walk out of the office the last day and they're done. And being able to make that transition is pretty awesome. And being a little part of that is really gives me fulfillment.
Yeah, we did a radio show, and Tim and I did a TV show. We did our radio show, just our last radio show, about what it means to be rich in retirement. It's not all about that number in your bank account.
No.
It's not about that big house, those fancy cars. It's about having a rich, fulfilled retirement plan, right, guys? I mean, being rich, there's a lot of things about being rich.
Yeah, we just did a whole show on it.
We just did. Hey, listen, guys, we want to help you be rich in retirement. We want you to have an income plan, a tax plan, a Medicare healthcare plan. We want to help you with maybe those fees you're paying that you don't realize. We want to help you with your market volatility. We are a one-stop shop, and we can do all of these things for you in a nice written plan to help you have that freedom in retirement. That's what we want to do. Are you actually ready to retire? I'd invite you to go to giaquiz.com, giaquiz.com. And as always, we're giving out my book, Plan the Day, Own Tomorrow. If you're listening to us on the radio and you're in the Chattanooga area, text the word book, 423-710-9199. If you're up in Knoxville, 865-951-7526. Again, text the word book. You can go to plantodayoffer.com, plantodayoffer.com. If you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, there's a QR code at the bottom of your screen right now. Click that QR code. We'll send it right out to you. Or you can comment below, book. Just the word book. We'll send it to you. Again, Chattanooga, 423-710-9199. Knoxville, 865-951-7526. Text the word book. We'll send a copy of my book, Plan the Day, Own Tomorrow, right out to you, absolutely free. Read the book, then come in and have a conversation with our advisors. We got Brogan in Knoxville, Tim and Bobby here in Chattanooga, and we are here to help you. You heard the guys' why. They have a why behind everything we do, everything they do, and we have a why behind everything we do here at Guardian Investment Advisors. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Stay tuned next week for more Plan the Day, Own Tomorrow. Go make it a great day. God bless. Take care.